The night it happened, rain slid down the cracked windshield like tears that wouldn't stop, and as I tell you this, I want you to stay until the very end, because what began with a hungry child and 18 lonely dollars ended with a truth that changed everything. If stories about kindness, struggle, and unexpected miracles move you, tap like, subscribe to the channel, and walk this journey with me, because this isn't just a story, it's a reminder of who we can be when the world gives us nothing. Daniel Carter had learned how to count money by weight. Bills felt heavier when they were few, lighter when they were gone. That night, the last of them, 110, 15, and 3 crumpled singles, sat in his palm as he stood outside a flickering gas station on the edge of town. $18. That was dinner, breakfast, and maybe lunch if he stretched it with rice and canned beans. Behind him, in the rusted sedan, his 7-year-old daughter Lily slept curled up in her hoodie, her breath fogging the glass. She trusted him completely, and that trust hurt more than hunger. Daniel had not always been poor. He had been ordinary. A warehouse job, a small rented house, a wife who laughed loudly and dreamed quietly. Then came the sickness, the hospital bills, the funeral that left him holding a tiny hand and a future he didn't know how to afford. When the warehouse downsized, single father, didn't earn sympathy, it earned a final paycheck and a polite handshake. Since then, Daniel worked nights cleaning offices, days fixing whatever broke for neighbors who could pay him in cash. He skipped meals without telling Lily, learned to smile with an empty stomach, learned that pride doesn't fill plates. As he turned to go inside the gas station, a man staggered toward him from the shadows near the ice machine. He wore a soaked jacket, beard tangled, eyes hollow with a mix of fear and embarrassment. "Sir," the man said, voice cracking, "I hate to ask. My wallet was stolen. I haven't eaten in 2 days. I just need something warm. Anything." Daniel's hand closed around the money. He could already see Lily's face when she woke up and asked for pancakes. He could hear himself lying, saying they'd eat later. He could walk away. Most people did. The world had taught him that survival meant choosing your own child every time. But then Lily stirred in the car, murmuring his name in her sleep. Daniel remembered the strangers who had once brought casseroles after the funeral, the woman at church who pressed a grocery gift card into his hand when he hadn't asked. He remembered how being seen had felt like oxygen. He looked at the man again. $18. All of it. Daniel exhaled, stepped forward, and placed the bills into the man's trembling hands. "Get something hot," he said. "And a drink. It's cold." The man stared as if Daniel had handed him a miracle. "Sir, I can't." "Take it," Daniel said gently. "Please." The man's eyes filled. "You don't know what this means," he whispered. "My name is Marcus." "I'm Daniel," he replied. "Be safe." Daniel walked back to the car, lighter in the pocket, heavier in the chest. He bought a small bag of rice with the change he scrounged from the cup holder and drove home to the little house he was months behind on paying for, cooking what he could, telling Lily stories until she fell asleep. That night, hunger clawed at him, but sleep came anyway, carrying him into a morning he could never have imagined. The knock shook the house before sunrise. Not a polite tap, this was authority, weight, presence. Daniel's heart leapt into his throat. He peered through the curtain and froze. 5 black SUVs lined the cracked curb like a scene from a movie. Men in dark suits stood beside them, scanning the street. A woman with a tablet spoke quietly into a headset. Neighbors' curtains twitched. Daniel's first thought was Lily. His second was fear. He opened the door just enough to stand between the visitors and his daughter. "Daniel Carter?" the woman asked, professional but kind. "Yes," he said, voice tight. "Sir, please don't be alarmed," she said. "We're here to speak with you." "About what?" Daniel asked. Before she could answer, a familiar voice cut through the morning air. "Daniel." The man from the gas station stepped forward, clean-shaven now, wearing a tailored coat that fit like it belonged. His eyes were the same. "Marcus." Daniel breathed. Marcus smiled, and something in that smile carried relief and gratitude and a story Daniel hadn't heard yet. "May I come in?" Inside, Lily peeked from behind the couch, clutching her stuffed rabbit. Marcus knelt to her level. "You must be Lily," he said softly. "Your dad is a good man." Lily nodded solemnly. "He is." Marcus stood, meeting Daniel's eyes. "Yesterday, you gave me your last $18. You had no way of knowing who I was, or why I was there. And that's exactly why I'm here now. He told them everything. How he was the founder of a logistics company that had grown faster than he had. How stress and burnout had driven him to walk away from a board meeting the day before, leaving his phone behind, wandering until the noise inside his head went quiet. How he'd slept under an awning, hungry and ashamed, learning how thin the line was between success and invisibility. How Daniel's kindness had cut through that fog like a blade of light. I needed to remember what mattered, Marcus said. You reminded me. Daniel shook his head, overwhelmed. Anyone would have. No, Marcus said gently. They wouldn't. Most didn't. What followed wasn't a fairy tale check waved around like a magic wand. It was slower, deeper, more human. Marcus offered to pay Daniel back. Daniel refused. Marcus smiled. Then let me help you forward. He connected Daniel with a job, not charity, but work. A maintenance supervisor position at one of Marcus's warehouses, with hours that fit Lily's school schedule, benefits Daniel had never had, a wage that meant breathing room. He covered Daniel's overdue rent, quietly, without cameras. He funded Lily's school supplies for the year. He insisted on nothing in return. Neighbors watched as the SUVs drove away, gossip already forming, but inside the house, Daniel sat at the table with his head in his hands, shaking. Lily wrapped her arms around him. Are we okay, Daddy? She asked. Daniel laughed and cried at the same time. Yeah, he said. We're okay. The weeks that followed tested Daniel in new ways. Pride doesn't disappear just because help arrives. Accepting assistance felt like learning to walk again. At the warehouse, he worked harder than anyone, arriving early, leaving late, fixing problems before they grew. He listened to the men and women on his team, remembered their names, their kids' names, the things that mattered. Marcus noticed. One afternoon, Marcus invited Daniel to lunch. Not in a boardroom, but at a diner. I want you to tell me when I'm wrong, Marcus said, stirring his coffee. I don't want to forget what it's like to count dollars by weight. Daniel did. He spoke about wages that didn't stretch, about schedules that broke families, about how dignity mattered as much as pay. Marcus listened. Changes followed. Not all at once, not perfectly, but they came. Months passed. Lily grew taller. The fridge stayed full. Daniel learned what it felt like to plan more than a week ahead. He volunteered at the same gas station on weekends, organizing food drives, remembering a man named Marcus who had once stood there hungry and lost.